Another approach to this. Hassan's position seems to be the dilemma doesn't apply to his notion of a creator, because there we're talking about something outside our experience of reality, so we don't have to answer the question of whether it's something that's existed endlessly or whether it came into existence or whatever. What I'm really puzzled by, and I genuinely mean this, Hassan, is half the time you seem to be saying, we can't think about what lies outside the reality that we experience. And then the other half of the time, you, if I may say so, seem to be saying, but we can talk about the divine creator who lies outside this reality and explains it. And I don't understand how you can make both those claims. So my conclusion from the two things that are incomprehensible would be we can make no meaningful statements at all about the origin of a reality that exists in space and time. Either way, we're subject to paradox. And to suppose that therefore we make it comprehensible by talking about the divine creator just doesn't help. We simply have to recognize the limits of human understanding at this point.
Hassan Chaudhry's chance to maybe come back on the points.
Just to say to you guys, somebody knocks on your front door. We cannot make any decisions about who it is at the front door until we're told. And if they start shouting, "Police, scumbag, open up!" Or if they say, "Look, it's your Chinese takeaway," yeah, you need it to tell you. You cannot make decisions about it because that would be irrational. And remember that the motion is belief in a creator. Rational means that I have to prove creation. I have to prove something is caused. I've proved the first thing is caused because there's a beginning and it didn't make itself. Because it's just like all the other things that didn't make themselves and they rely on things. This universe and the things in the universe didn't make themselves, they were created. And it is irrational to deny it.
Earlier on, Mr. Richard said, how do you know that God exists forever? But I just want to ask you, without a mechanical device, can you count every grain of sand on the earth? You can't. It's inconceivable.
But it's not infinite.
Wait for him to finish the question.
Yeah. So it's inconceivable means that with our small mind or your small mind, you can't think of it. So we know how God is there with a heart transaction. It's like he said,
we know
it comes down to sensitivity.
Yeah, we know what? What you say?
We know how God is there through a heart transaction. Means
through a heart?
Through a heart transaction means sensitivity. Like what he explained earlier on, you feel it with your heart and you don't conceive it with your mind. Yeah,
you feel it with your heart. Yeah, you cannot think of rational belief.
You cannot think of it with your mind. Like what he explained earlier on, you cannot see some ghosts, so you cannot think of the ghost in hand.
Can I come back to your analogy of grains of sand? That we can't, in practice, count the number of grains of sand on the seashores of this planet. It's not infinite.
That's what I said.
No, it's not infinite, right? So I had no problem with that. I mean, a very, very large number, which we could never in practice count, is not a problematic concept. I mean, it'd be very problematic if you set me the task of going to count them, but it's not a problematic concept. So the issue of what the number of grains of sand on the planet is quite different from the question, how do we understand the notion of infinity?
Is it possible, I mean, this is a very emotional topic, I understand, but is it possible we could, the motion of the debate is belief in a creator rational, and our approach to this subject is going to be on a rational basis. So we're trying to keep emotional out of the way. I know you're a bit fiery, but our next two questions that we will take, the guy right at the end, black jacket.
Richard, so as far as I understand, you agree with the first 2 points. So there's a start. This universe isn't infinite. It's not infinite. So it basically is caused. So your problem is with the traditional belief of God. That's what I can understand at the moment. Your problem isn't with a creator, or I think even you got a problem with the word creator. I think so. Let's say starter. So you haven't got a problem with that. Something started it or created it or.
Yeah, I have. Yes.
But you said you agree with his first 2 points.
Well, I mean that's why I did say I wanted to rephrase them. Right. My preferred rephrasing of them was the notion of something having existed for an infinite time is incomprehensible. I didn't actually say irrational, that's why I wanted to refine the formulation of it.
Right.
We can't grasp the notion of something existing for infinite time. Likewise, we can't grasp the notion of something having a beginning in time such that nothing existed and suddenly something
Can I just
came out of
rephrase my
nothing.
question then?
Yeah.
Because, okay, so now I've understood that you're saying that it's limited. There was a start, but you're not saying, now you're saying it's either come from nothing. Sorry.
No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying.
Sorry. His second point was. Sorry to interrupt. His second point was that we're not at the end of infinite chain. So
Right.
there's a start. So you said you agree with that. So you don't agree now?
I just think about my formulation of it. The notion of being at the end of an infinite series is paradoxical. It's something that we can't make sense of.
Mathematically impossible.
It doesn't follow from that we can make sense of the notion of a beginning of space and time or a beginning of reality. That's the dilemma that we're stuck with. And my fundamental point is, it's an illusion to suppose that we escape from those difficulties by inventing some notion of a divine creator. It just doesn't help. We're still stuck with that same difficulty.
I'm not saying divine creator at the moment.
No,
I'm just
okay.
saying where are you at? I mean, I'm not standing at the audience where you're at the moment.
Yeah, I'm saying that what my position is, neither the notion of a beginning to reality in time, nor the notion of reality having existed for an infinite time is one that we can,
So you don't agree with
make sense of.
So
I don't agree with his exact formulation of it, no.
Okay.
Okay, is it possible you could actually get Hassan Chaudhry to make his comments?
Okay, Richard is saying that he thinks it's difficult to understand, if I'm right here, it's incomprehensible to consider infinity and being at the end of it. But that's okay because we're not at the end of it, so we don't have to think about it. We're not at the end of an endless chain, so we don't need to think about it. Now the second part, this is the part that I'm having trouble with Richard's formulation. It's difficult to think that you might be at the beginning. Is that the point you're making?
No, what we can't make sense of is the notion of reality coming into existence out of nothing at some finite point in time.
That's okay, we don't have to think about that either. We don't need to think about that. All we have to do is conclude it happened. How is not the point. How I got here in the Batmobile, does it matter? How did I get here today? It was the district line followed by the you don't need to know how, you just need to know I'm here. That's it. That's all that matters. And it doesn't matter how the beginning took place if the motion is belief in a creator is rational. Creation equals a creator, and just one more time, creation equals a creator. That's it. That's what's rational, and that's what I am going to place.
But look, you are making a claim about how it happened then. You're saying that the explanation is the divine creator. So you are making a claim about how we explain the existence of the world of phenomenal reality.
We're talking about a created reality, a limited reality, a dependent reality, and that has a beginning. They have a beginning, and they didn't bring themselves into existence. What does that leave us with? Does that leave us with more creation going back forever outside of this? No, it means that the creation, this chain of dependencies and creation ends. And where it ends, something other than that chain picks up.
Why does that follow?
Because
That
we've
something
said there's a
else
beginning.
must pick up.
We've said there's a beginning to this chain. So the chain can't continue
Well,
forever.
you've said that. I haven't said that.
Okay.
You've said that.
Then I'll say to the crowd,
Okay.
and I will ask this question to you all. If I'm saying there's a chain of dependencies that doesn't go back forever, it has a beginning, at that point, why does it have a beginning? What does beginning mean? It means that there's a stop. And if there's a stop, what's before that thing can't be like it or it's inside the chain. So if there's loads and loads of oranges, and the line of oranges between me and Richard stops, and there's more oranges on the other side, the line hasn't actually stopped. The line of oranges continue, and they'll only stop when there's no more oranges. So whatever is on the other side of that, lemons, sorry?
So it's not an orange.
Is no longer an orange, it's different.
Different.
I think we're going to move on from the discussion. I think we're going to take some other questions. Front row.
Right, I think your problem is...
It's not my problem, it's not my problem.
to phrase that more cordially, what you're saying is basically is that, for example, he gave the example of a doctor examining a patient, right? So if someone goes to a doctor with a blue eye, the doctor can see that and say, well, someone had a encounter with you. So the thing is, what you're saying is that because we don't know the type of person that hit him, we can't state that he's been hit, right? So the thing is, what we're saying is that similarly, if something is created and because the universe can't have existed forever, it must have been created. Now, regardless of the characteristics of the creator, similarly, regardless of the characteristics of the person who hit him, it can easily be stated that the person was hit. Therefore, by analogy, it can easily be stated that regardless of the characteristics of the creator, the universe has been created. And I just want your feedback on that.
Because the example, my feedback on that would be, the example you're using there, very much in line with what Hassan was saying, is an example drawn from our experience. From our experience, we have experience of situations where we would talk about one person creating, a person creating something. Every time you write an essay, you create something. Whoever made this bottle created something. And what we're talking about there, as Hassan himself said, is a chain of dependencies. And of course, each step in that chain of dependencies itself needs to be explained in terms of some previous step in the chain and so on. So we can make sense from our experience of the notion of creation. We can make sense from our experience of the notion of causal dependency. We can make sense from our experience of the notion of contingent things, each of which is explained by its relation to some other contingent thing. As long as we stay within the realm of, as Hassan himself said, our experience of reality and the world of sensation, we can make sense of those notions of dependence and creation and so on. What doesn't make sense is the attempt to somehow step outside of that and suppose that there is some kind of uncreated creator who explains, whose existence explains the whole world of contingent phenomena. That's a quite different sort of step, and it's one that doesn't have any basis in our experience or our understanding.
Hassan Chaudhry, I see you had two hands up.
Two hands up.
We can do nothing but think from experience.
That's my point.
And because we can do nothing but think from experience, we see causes. We can do nothing but think from experience, so we see cause and effect. In fact, it's hardwired into our thinking process, because you see something, you sense something, and you use the information about it and it tells you about it. Therefore, having to look at something and examine it is hardwired into your thinking process. You can't do anything other than that. So if we were to be outside someone's home, we're playing basketball, he knows we're playing basketball, then the car alarm goes off, glass smashed, he runs out, he sees the car is smashed, the alarm's gone off and we're running for it, we're legging it with our ball. He will, whether he's right or not, he will come to the rational conclusion, oi, you, stop. Why? Why does he come to that conclusion? Why is it rational? Why is it rational? Because you are hardwired, you have no choice. You must use cause and effect, the information that you hold about what you sense, and therefore, something that had a beginning, didn't bring itself into existence, was caused. And there's no way that that is illogical, that's no way that that is irrational, that is the basis of rationality. Somebody was about to throw, you know how they do sometimes in lecture theatres, they throw paper at the back of your head? Bang! What do you do? Think, well, maybe no one threw it. Rain. No, you know someone threw it. You get an F in your grade. Somebody marked that F. It didn't just get there by itself. You did it. You failed and somebody put an F. You can see causes. You live by those causes. why is it that you'll ignore that cause on this one question? One question in your life.